I find it really interesting how, a change of season kind of puts life into perspective. And with this being the end of the school year and, my last day in this classroom, it's kind of putting me in perspective, like what has happened in the last few months and, what the next few months are going to look like, the next year is going to look like. And I have this idea of just like what the future might bring for me and just what the idea of the future, how does that relate to my life and to life itself. And I find it really interesting, the idea, just because when I was younger, the idea of like looking forward to the future just never really made any sense. There were things to look forward to, but just overall, me growing up, there was this feeling that even if something would get better, that it wouldn't be lasting, and that I didn't really have any control over what was kind of going on in my life. And that created a lot of heartbreak and negative feelings, and having um, a not a very unpleasant mindset. And it was only it was a mindset that I was kind of just implicitly taught, and it was just not. Looking back, I feel quite sad for younger Michael in terms of that. But he just didn't have any agency. He didn't know who he was, and I think because of that, it's really hard to look forward to a future if you don't even know what you want. Um, but at the same time, there were a few instances where like I thought I knew what would be best for me, and it just didn't turn out to have that much of effect on my well-being and all that. And I think about when my older brother left for university. I was like, yes, the house would be so quiet now. I get more attention. Getting older, like it's gonna be great. And in many respects, it was those things. It was quieter, and I did have more. I had more opportunities because of it, just because my parents had more time. And even with all of that, it actually didn't make me feel that great. It didn't have a big effect on it. And I thought, that was through high school, and then through university. I was like, okay, I get to university, I get away from the parents, I get away to kind of be my own person, all that stuff. Now I'm gonna feel great about my future and about me. And that was not the case. It probably was one of the toughest years I've ever, or had to go through, just because I was not equipped to deal with life by myself. And then I was like, okay, let me get through my chemical engineering degree, and then I'll be able to go to New Zealand and explore the world for teaching and go from there. I'm feeling good. That was not the case. And part of that was beyond my control, in terms of it being kind of crappy, but it still was something I looked forward to and didn't turn out well. And I think this is the first instance in my life where I haven't looked forward to something. I was, in some words, forced to move to PEI for work, and it's been great. It's been awesome. I've been feeling very, very fulfilled, even though moving to a new place where you know no one is hard. It's very, very hard. And I think the thing that I'm realizing right now is, when it comes to looking forward to the future, the only common denominator that every future has is yourself. It's myself. And in the past, I haven't had a great relationship with myself because I wasn't taught to have a great relationship with myself. But now that I have that, kind of experience and kind of working on myself, and I have some amazing people in my life that allow me to be who I am and flourish that way. I have this sense of like, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I do know that I will be equipped, and I'll be motivated to do what's right for me and right for the people around me. And I think that's just really special. It's the first time in my life where I've really, really felt that. And it really comes back to, there's so many like opportunities and things in life that are out of our control. And I just think that, there are friendships, families, job opportunities, life opportunities that come and go sometimes in the blink of an eye. And we don't have control over, the things that we don't have much control over the things that, that happen to us. Life is messy. But we do have the opportunity to react to it, differently. And life can, just throw us a ton of bricks, and things could happen. It could be really, really rough in terms of, the future. But I think in general, like the resiliency that I've kind of built in myself in the last, few years has been awesome. Towards like, something happens to me, I will be okay. I'll be able to adjust and kind of work through it and learn and grow. And I just know, like, I just have this feeling that being with myself is a much more pleasant experience than what it used to be when I was a kid and a young adult, early adult. So, in the grand scheme of things, I really just have this hopefulness. And I think this is like amazing, because feeling hopeful also spreads to the people around you. It's amazing how that works. Whatever feelings that you have oftentimes gets translated and diffuses to the people around you. We're also oftentimes not in control of our emotions. But I like to think that me being hopeful for the future is making other people hopeful for the future, and I'm definitely in the right profession for that. So I've been just really, really enjoying, what it means for Michael to look forward to the future and what the future might bring, even though it's very uncertain.